Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I am Azka, SS English. I welcome you all to the online classes of Divisional Public School and College, Sahiwal. Today I will teach you phrase and the types of phrase. As far as the objectives of this lesson are concerned, by the end of the lesson, students will be able to define the term phrase, identify the phrase in a sentence, and tell the type of phrase. So let's get started. First of all, the question is that what phrase is? A phrase is a group or combination of two or more words. It is a unit of a complete sentence. By itself, a phrase is not a complete sentence as it does not relay a complete thought. It does not contain the subject-verb combination. Here we come to know four things about phrase. First of all, a phrase consists of at least two or more than two words. Secondly, a phrase is only a part of a sentence. Thirdly, a phrase does not make a complete sense. And fourthly, a phrase does not contain subject-verb combination. For a better understanding, remember all these points. These are the examples of phrase. They live in a beautiful house. Here, in a beautiful house is a phrase. The movie was surprisingly good. Here, surprisingly good is a phrase. Aisha eats very slowly. Here, very slowly is a phrase. The cat is sleeping on the carpet. Here, on the carpet is a phrase. In all these examples, all the phrases are fulfilling the four criteria of phrases. First of all, each phrase consists of at least two or more than two words. Secondly, all these phrases are only a part of a sentence. Thirdly, these phrases do not convey a complete sense. And fourthly, these phrases do not contain the subject-verb combination. I hope you have learned the concept of phrase. Now let us move forward. Types of phrase. There are different types of phrase according to different part of speech. A phrase contains a specific part of speech and other words that modify it. The entire phrase functions as that particular part of speech. There are 5 types of phrases. First of all, noun phrase. The second one is adjective phrase. The third word is adverb phrase. The fourth is prepositional phrase. And the fifth is verb phrase. First of all, we have noun phrase. We all know that noun is a naming word. It can name a person, place, thing, or an idea. Same is the case with noun phrase. It acts as a noun in a sentence. Noun phrases are simply noun with modifiers. Just as noun can act as subject and object, so can noun phrases. The modifier can come before or after the noun. Here we come to know 3 things about noun phrase. Firstly, a noun phrase consists of a noun and a modifier. There must be a modifier along with the noun. Modifier is simply a word that gives information about the noun. Secondly, noun phrase can act both as a subject and as an object. Subject is the person or thing that is being discussed, while object is a noun or pronoun on which a verb performs an action. And thirdly, in noun phrase, modifier can come before or even after the noun. Here we have few examples of noun phrase. The yellow house is for sale. In this sentence, the yellow house is a noun phrase. House is the head noun and yellow is the modifier that is giving us information about the house. The yellow house is underlined. Words form a noun phrase. You can see that this phrase does not convey a complete sense, but if you attach it with the rest of sentence, then it gives a complete meaning. Here it acts as a subject. The second example is his sudden arrival surprised everyone. Here, his sudden arrival is a noun phrase. Arrival is the head noun and sudden is the modifier. It acts as a subject. Third example, I want a new skateboard. A new skateboard is a noun phrase. Skateboard is a head noun and new is the modifier. But here, the noun phrase acts as an object because it receives the action from the verb. He has a positive attitude. Here, a positive attitude is a noun phrase. Attitude is the head noun and positive is the modifier. Can you identify a noun phrase in each sentence? There are 4 sentences and you are supposed to underline the noun phrase and then you will identify either the noun phrase act as a subject or as an object. Here are the answers. In the first sentence, those houses is a noun phrase. In the second sentence, a lot of stamps is noun phrase. In third example, a new dress is a noun phrase. And in fourth example, folk tales is a noun phrase. The next is adjective phrase. Adjective is a describing word. It describes a noun or a pronoun. Same is the case with adjective phrase. An adjective phrase is a group of words that describes a noun or a pronoun in a sentence. It simply acts as an adjective. We are having 4 examples of adjective phrase. The movie was surprisingly good. In this example, surprisingly good is an adjective phrase because this phrase is describing the noun movie. It tells us the quality of movie, that the movie was good. The second example is the final exams were unbelievably difficult. Here, unbelievably difficult is an adjective phrase and it modifies the final exams. Amna is extremely intelligent. Here, extremely intelligent is an adjective phrase and it describes the noun Amna. Ali looks so gloomy and dejected. So gloomy and dejected is an adjective phrase and it describes the noun Ali. You can see that all these phrases have described noun and they tell us the quality of the noun. Can you identify an adjective phrase in each sentence? Here are 4 sentences and you are supposed to underline the adjective phrases. Here are the answers. In the very first sentence, pretty cold is adjective phrase. In second one, fairly difficult. In third one, awfully sad. And in fourth one, beautifully carved and priceless. Adverb phrase. An adverb phrase modifies a verb, an adjective, or another adverb. It works as an adverb in the sentence. We know that adverbs show manner, time, place, or frequency. Same is the case with adverb phrase. It does the work of an adverb in a sentence. For example, they lived in Pakistan once upon a time. Here, once upon a time refers to time, so this is adverb phrase of time. I read books twice a week. Here, twice a week refers to how often an action takes place. So this is adverb phrase of frequency. They sing in a beautiful way. In a beautiful way is adverb phrase of manner. They went to that place. To that place is adverb phrase of place. Here are 4 sentences and you are supposed to identify adverb phrase and underline it. Here is the key. In the first one, right here is adverb phrase. In the second one, it is very carefully. In third one, it yesterday afternoon. And in fourth one, it is earlier than usual. Let us move forward. The next one is prepositional phrase. A prepositional phrase begins with a preposition and also has the object of preposition. So there are 2 simple things that a prepositional phrase must have a preposition in the beginning and after that there must be an object. For example, the book was on the table. Here, on the table is a prepositional phrase and it starts with the preposition on. She was lost in the dark of night. In the dark of night is a prepositional phrase. It starts with the preposition in and the dark of night is the object. I waited for a while. For a while is a prepositional phrase. For is the preposition and while is the object. He won the challenge against all odds. Here, against all odds is a prepositional phrase. Against is the preposition and all odds is the object. Verb phrase is the combination of a main verb and a helping verb. We know that verb is an action word. It shows an activity. For example, I am teaching you and you are listening to me. Here, both teaching and listening are verbs because they show action. But as far as verb phrase is concerned, it must have a helping verb and a main verb. Both of them should be there. For example, Ali was working in my office. Here, was working is a verb phrase because was is a helping verb and working is the main verb. I have written a letter. Have written is a verb phrase. Have is the helping verb and written is the main verb. Technically speaking, there are 2 types of verb phrases. The first one is finite verb phrase and the second one is non-finite verb phrases. Let us discuss the finite verbs first. There are different functions of finite verbs. First of all, finite verb tells us about tense. It tells either the tense is present, past, or future. For example, I am teaching English. Here, am teaching is a verb phrase and it also shows the tense. It is present continuous tense. In next example, I have bought a new pen. Have bought is a verb phrase and it tells about the tense. So here we come to know two things, that finite verb act as the main verb of the sentence, and secondly it tells about the tense, either it is past, present or future. The second thing is that finite verb changes according to number and person of the subject. As far as the number is concerned, it can be singular and it can be plural. As far as the subject is concerned, it can be first person, second person or third person. For example, she has plucked flowers from the garden. Here, all the underlined words are verb phrases. In fact, they are finite verb phrases. In first example, the finite verb phrase has plucked refers to the subject she. She is a singular third person. We have finished the task in time. In second example, the subject is we. It is first person plural. I am playing cricket with friends. In this example, I is first person singular. In last example, he is allowing a simple problem to bother him. He is a third person singular. Lastly, finite verb changes according to the voice. For example, it can be active voice and it can be passive voice. If the subject is active, then it is active voice, but if the subject receives the action, then it is passive voice. Let us see the examples of active voice. She is writing a letter. She is writing letters. Here, the sentence shows that the subject is active, so this is active voice. He has helped me. Same is the case with second example. Both are active voice. The first example for passive voice is letters are being written by her. Here, the subject receives the action, so this is passive voice. I have been helped by her. This is also a passive voice. So, it is clear that finite verb is the main verb of the sentence and it changes according to subject, number, tense and voice. The second type of verbs are non-finite verbs. They are contrary to finite verbs because they do not have any agreement with tense, subject, number and voice. Non-finite verbs act as a gerund, an infinitive or as a participle. Gerund is simply the base form of verb with ing that acts as a noun. For example, he enjoys playing cricket in the evening. Here, enjoys is the main verb and playing seems to be a verb, but it acts as a noun here, so it is a gerund. Non-finite verbs also act as an infinitive. Infinitive is simply the first form of verb after to, and it acts either as a noun or as an adverb. For example, we decided to help the poor. Here, to help is an infinitive. Decided is the main verb and to help seems to be a verb, but actually it functions as a noun. Thirdly, non-finite verbs act as a participle. Participles are basically verbs, but they act as adjectives. For example, worried by the delay, we decided to call her up. Here, worried is a participle because here it acts as an adjective. In the first example, the starting word was a gerund, so Playing cricket in the evening is a gerund phrase. In the second example, to help is an infinitive, so to help the poor is an infinitive phrase. In the third example, the first word was a participle, so worried by the delay is a participle phrase. Participle is further divided into three categories. As we already discussed that a participle is a verb form that functions as an adjective by modifying nouns and pronouns. Same is the case with participial phrase. Participial phrases are of three types. For example, present participle. Present participle is the first form of verb with ing that acts as an adjective. For example, I really like this dancing doll. Here, dancing is describing the doll and it is an adjective. So this is a present participle. The second one is past participle. Past participle is the third form of verb that acts as an adjective. For example, the burnt toast tastes awful. Here, burnt is an adjective because it describes a toast. Lastly, there is perfect participle. Perfect participle basically shows the completion of an action, and it is made by putting having before the third form of verb. Here, having finished his work, Harry was ready for play. Having finished is the perfect participle and it shows the completion of a work. Dear students, we are done with today's lesson and I hope you have learned all the concepts. Revision. First of all, we learned noun phrase. We learned that noun phrase act as a noun. It can either act as subject or as object. It must has a modifier. Secondly, we studied adjective phrase. Adjective phrase acts as an adjective by describing a noun or a pronoun. Thirdly, we learned adverb phrase. Adverb phrase tells the manner, time, place, or frequency. Fourthly, we studied prepositional phrase. Prepositional phrase starts with a preposition and it also has the object of preposition. And lastly, we learned verb phrase. Verb phrase is divided into two categories. The first one is finite verb and the second one is non-finite verb. Finite verb changes according to tense, person, number, voice, and it is always the main verb of the sentence. On contrary, non-finite verbs act as gerund, infinitive, and participle. It's time for mental workout. Are you ready? I have designed an exercise for you and you are supposed to underline the phrase and identify it. Here you have 9 sentences. First of all, underline the phrase and then identify it and tell either it is a noun phrase, adjective phrase, or prepositional phrase. Are you done? So let us check the answers. In the first sentence, a black shirt is a noun phrase. In second sentence, very slowly is adverb phrase. In third sentence, by a brook is prepositional phrase. In fourth sentence, against all odds is again a prepositional phrase. In fifth sentence, having delivered the message is perfect participial phrase. In sixth sentence, very happy and excited is adjective phrase. In seventh sentence, are singing is a finite verb phrase. In eighth example, to solve the problems is infinitive verb phrase, and in ninth example, reading books in the evening is a gerund phrase. That's all for today. Thank you very much, students.